time for the fantasy football girls.
Hi, I'm Talia.
And I'm Dani.
And welcome to
Fantasy Football Girls.
Today we're talking about what position to draft in round 1.
Draft an RB1 as soon as possible. I think it's very important to have an RB1 because I think that depicts how your season's going to go because there's not too many of them. And I know that somebody in my on my shoulder is going to say she doesn't agree, but that's my thing, and I've been doing this.
Running backs are not reliable. Look at some of the running backs who were drafted in the top 10 last year. Doug Martin, bust. Trent Richardson, bust. CJ Spiller. How many great players?
I mean, I had Jamal Charles. He was pretty good.
And then you're the lucky one. Which, look, I for the most part agree. You should draft a running back early. However, I think there are exceptions to that rule. Megatron, Calvin Johnson, my boyfriend, one of them. Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Jimmy Graham.
Okay, so I think there's no lock for a quarterback. It's been proven that there's been no quarterback that's been the stud number one back-to-back seasons, except for Drew Brees, who threw 40 touchdowns 2 years in a row. And
however,
he's the only one.
Even in their lesser years where they're not number one back-to-back, they're still putting up more points for you than some of these dud running backs. They get injured less often.
I tend to not agree with you. You see, I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. I mean,
which one?
The Peyton Manning basket.
Okay.
Because it's not logical that he would repeat. I mean, maybe he would.
I'm not expecting him to achieve the same stats that he did last year. He's still Peyton Manning, and he's going to throw the ball a lot.
Like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I drafted him in my first round. It was his worst fantasy season ever.
Right.
And it sucked, and that ruined my season because I was screwed.
So you're saying the quarterback position is very important?
It's very important. But, you know,
so
if you don't find one of the top 5 quarterbacks, then I say wait till like the 9th or 10th round.
Really? 9th or 10th?
Yes. Because then you'll get like a Big Ben, you'll get, you know, somebody that is strong like Nick Foles. He'll probably be in that round.
I think he's going fast. He's going to go in the mid-rounds.
We'll see.
The reason to draft a quarterback, right, that people are giving, including myself, it's a passing league. In the last 4 years, 31 quarterbacks have posted top 20 fantasy seasons compared with 9 running backs. So there's a higher chance that you're going to have a quarterback who's going to have a top 20 fantasy season than there is for a running back. So there you're going to spend your number one pick on that. The flip side of that, right, is that it's a passing league, which means that 16 quarterbacks, half the league, exceeded 500 attempts last year. That's 16 to choose from. They're not all of this as successful with their attempts, but there's more available, and people are going to draft more running backs. Most people take 5, maybe 6 on their team, so there's less available on the waiver wire versus QBs where people take 1, maybe 2. So you do have to take that into consideration, right? Like, obviously, if Adrian Peterson, LaShawn McCoy, or Jamal Charles or Matt Forte is available in the draft by the time I'm drafting this year, I'm going to go with one of those guys.
Yeah, of course.
But if it's not one of them, maybe Eddie Lacy, then I feel like there's enough guys in the running back, like second tier, that you can catch on the second round if you get the number 1 wide receiver. He was my highest scoring player last year. He and Julio Jones, when he wasn't injured, carried my team.
See, I disagree. I think that you always need to have an RB1.
So because Jimmy Graham is available in round 1 after the guys that I mentioned are taken, you're not going to take him?
Jimmy Graham is a different animal. He actually has, you know, upside because he's kind of like a wide receiver. He doesn't really fit the mold of tight end. So it's like, hey, if I'm like the 12th pick and Jimmy Graham's available, sure, I might pick him. But he won't be.
It also depends on if we're talking about PPR or standard.
That's true.
I played in a PPR league. Wide receivers are more valuable than a lot of those running backs like Alfred Morris. He's still solid. Not a bust. He had a good year, but he doesn't catch the ball. So if you're getting points per catch, then a guy like Calvin Johnson makes more sense than taking Alfred Morris.
Yeah, I mean, I did a league that was 0.25 per carry for the running backs. So that was actually a good thing to take a good running back in the beginning.
All right. Well, I think we've covered vast ground.
Yeah.
and we've got more for you. And we'll talk about some breakout players and sleepers. And we've got
We're not talking about acne.
No one wants to talk about acne. And then we'll be getting into the season. Finally.
Yeah, can't wait.
Been waiting. All right, thanks for joining us. We will cheers you from Los Angeles to wherever you are. Hopefully, we'll have a team of our own one day. For now, we bid you adieu.
Fantasize a world where girls don't wanna talk diamonds, pearls. They wanna talk fade routes, outs, and curls. Time for the fantasy football girls. Time for the fantasy football girls. Fantasy